Yeah, hi folks. Yes, the Olympics is none other than a propaganda arm of the globalist communist UN, and they shouldn't have been held this year against the will of the Japanese people. But that's what happens when you cede your sovereignty to the United Nations. Now, having said that, I really celebrate Lisa Carrington's achievements. She's a really great athlete. But I most certainly don't celebrate Jacinda Ardern Media, another propaganda arm of the United Nations, calling this fair-skinned, greeny, blue-eyed girl with only a drop of Maori blood in her, a Maori, when she clearly isn't really a Maori. Have a look for yourself. You can clearly see she's not Maori. So why are they calling her a Maori? Well, it's part of the UN agenda to marginalise white European people and promote so-called indigenous people and multiculturalism. Anyway, moving on. International Olympic Committee, cooperation with the UN.
Dear friends, I'm proud to salute the world's Olympic athletes, and I thank the people of Japan. The Olympic spirit brings out humanity's best: teamwork and solidarity, talent, tolerance. It inspires and unifies us in troubled times. We are all in mourning for those lost to the COVID-19 pandemic. Every athlete in Tokyo has overcome enormous obstacles and demonstrated great determination. If we bring that same energy to our global challenges, we can achieve anything. Peace, a clean, green, thriving planet, a better, more equal world, rooted in supporting the most vulnerable and leaving no one behind.
Supporting the most vulnerable and leaving no one behind. So who exactly are you talking about there? Indigenous people, perhaps? And in New Zealand's case, Maori are not Indigenous. They came by boat like we did. And they're not First Nations people either. People were living here before Maori arrived.
So let us race together to that future. The United Nations is honoured to be your teammate every step of the way.
Anyway, moving on.
Thank you for clicking. Welcome back for some more in-depth triathlon analysis, this time for the mixed relay at the Tokyo Olympics. Teams would be made up of 4 athletes, 2 women and 2 men, who would each complete a mini triathlon of a 300-metre swim, 6.8-kilometre bike and a 2-kilometre run before handing over to their next teammate. The women would kick things off, and just as in the individual, Jess Learmonth of Great Britain set an incredibly high pace in the swim and managed to force a split just here after just 2.5 minutes of racing. It's only a small gap, but Learmonth makes a crucial decision to press on from here and consolidate her gap, instead of sitting up and allowing those teams who missed that split in the swim to catch back on. You can see that Learmonth and the other 3 chasing her waste no time in pressing on, whilst those left behind are trying to get up to speed quickly and catch back up by pedalling with their feet on top of their shoes. Just as in the individual though, a small lead pack of 4 forms at the front, made up of Learmonth of GB, Zafiras of USA.
Yeah, now these woke mixed gender relays may sound harmless enough, but they're not. They're normalising communist uniformity, where everyone must be the same. Rugby sevens will be next. Now, I don't know if you saw this woman or not, but she has some real anger issues.
What's going on, Sports Wars? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, NGeeksandGamers.com, and this right here is one of the reasons that this year's Olympics is one of the lowest rated in history. People don't want to tune in and watch these athletes and these social justice virtue signals, these woke protests that are supposed to be disallowed at this year's Olympics. We'll see if this one gets punished. This is a U.S. Olympian who, instead of standing up there being proud of her country, what does she do? She protests. Raven Saunders is her name. She won the silver medal in the shot put. And when she got on the podium, she decided to make it all about her with this protest, which she describes as this X, the X that she threw up on the podium. It's the intersection of where all people who are oppressed meet. This is not something that she is allowed to do at the Olympic Games. Will she receive punishment? Probably not. And I think we all know why. When you look at this headline right here, Raven Saunders offers highest profile protest yet at Tokyo Olympics. This is from Megan Turner on Outkick. After securing the silver, American shot putter Raven Saunders offered the highest profile protest in the Tokyo Olympics on Sunday night. Saunders raised her arms over her head in an X as she, gold medalist Li Zhou Gong, and bronze medalist Valerie Adams posed for photographers. She stood with her hands in front of her during the anthem. Saunders told the Associated Press that the symbol represented the intersection of where all people who are oppressed meet. And look at the difference between these athletes. Two athletes that are proud to represent their countries, and one that is an entitled piece of garbage that decides to make it all about herself.
Exactly. No one wants to watch that. Anyway, moving on.
One of the things that is talked about a lot is the history that you've made here. People say you're the first trans female athlete to compete at the Olympic Games. There's a lot of articles about what the history is you're making here. How does that sit with you that you are making history here, and is that something you think about and consider, and what does that feel like?
Obviously I'm aware of those conversations, but really I haven't come here to change the world. I've come here because sport is part of me, and it's really part of what I want to do, and everything else is peripheral to that. I've only ever wanted to be treated
I've only ever wanted to be treated
in the way that other athletes are treated.
in the way that other athletes are treated. Well, you can be. It's called men's weightlifting. There's nothing stopping you doing that.
I haven't set out to look for special accommodation, special treatment, or anything else really. And so, while I'm aware that someone has to be the first, that's not been what's propelled me to come here and compete.
Knowing now, though, I guess what you do and how it felt coming into this competition and conversations around it, would you put yourself through it again, or would you encourage other transgender women to try and compete at this level?
I don't really want to give advice because everyone's situation is so different and so complicated, and really it's a conversation, it's a decision that has to be made individually with regard to individual circumstance. So all I can say is that rather than advice, I can give encouragement that there are pathways out there, and that if people are motivated, they can pursue them, and they can, I think, compete just as any other athlete does.
And they can, I think, compete just as any other athlete does. Yes, exactly. It's called men's sports or women's sports. Anyway, moving on. It's a tie.
We can continue with the jump off.
We can continue with a jump off.
Can we have 2 golds?
Can we have 2 golds?
It's possible. It depends.
It's possible if you decide. Wow, they get to choose. How woke is that?
If you both decide on the champion.
They've agreed to share the gold medal, and that is what it means to Tamberi, a man whose career was almost over with injury. So too, Mutas Essa Barshim. He's charismatic, he's a huge personality, and they will both taste gold in Tokyo.
Yeah, anyway, let's go to the podium now and see if you can spot the elephant in the room. Did you spot the elephant? Well, here it is. We have 2 golds and 1 bronze. No silver medal. How is that even possible? Surely this guy here should get the silver and somebody else should come up and get bronze. Nah, this is so wrong, folks.